welcome to 1 Minute Wins with Dr. Dana Martin, the podcast where intentional growth meets practical leadership. One quote, one lesson, one action to help you lead yourself and others better. Let's jump in. Welcome back to 1 Minute Wins. I am Dr. Dana Martin, and today we're going to be talking about maybe one of the hardest leadership skills to learn, and it's intentional listening. Episode 18, we're going to be talking about Stephen Covey's quote here. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Now, that single quote holds a mirror up to every one of us, really, me included. I'm sometimes the worst at preparing what I'm going to respond with instead of listening to the full message. When we listen only to respond, we miss the heart of what people are trying to say. Intentional listening is not passive. It's one of the most powerful tools that you can use to build trust, understanding, rapport, and ultimately influence. Intentional listening is about presence, being present. And it's about silencing your inner response long enough to actually hear not just the words, but the emotion, the need, and the perspective behind them. When you listen to understand instead of reply, you communicate with one powerful truth, that the person that you're interacting with matters. In leadership, in family, in friendship, few messages matter more than that. So I'll say that again. When you listen to understand instead of to reply, you communicate one powerful truth. You matter. I was working with a leader, and I say work with a leader. In this case, this was my leader. They were brilliant, driven, deeply respected. But her team, we, described her as unapproachable. When approached, why do you feel I am unapproachable? The response she got was, well, you're listening, but you're not really listening. You already have the answer within the first 2 seconds of me opening my mouth. Well, that was a little harsh, but I think we all can relate, and that this story maybe resonates because the leader didn't lack empathy, right? She was there. She was engaged. She was listening to a point, but she lacked the intentional listening of the full embodiment of the message. Now, after that meeting where we had a discussion, shall we say, about our feeling of inability, not that we had the inability, it was our perception. She decided that she would pause intentionally at the end of what the conversation was so that she could allow a moment for both her and the other individual in the conversation to reset and be prepared for the response. And what that did was open her up immensely as she began hearing what the people meant, not just what they were saying. And within months, of course, you know what I'm going to say, morale started improving. I had great one-on-ones moving forward. All of those relationships deepened, and all it was our perception and her making one minor adjustment in her listening process to change the entire scope of that team. I mean, does this matter? Does it really? According to a study by a Harvard Business Review, leaders who actively listen report 25% higher employee engagement and 40% fewer misunderstandings and conflicts in their teams. See, listening is not just about being polite. It increases productivity. Oh, one of my favorites, Ernest Hemingway. He said, when people talk, listen completely. Most people never listen. Think about that. Most people never listen. True listening requires humility. Oof, that hurts. That hurts me. True listening requires humility. It's an act of service. It's not an act of command or strategy or control. I'm going to say that again. True listening requires humility because it's an act of service. I remember sitting down with a colleague years ago, clearly frustrated, and I wanted to fix it immediately because I could see the hurt and the pain and the frustration that they were going through. And, I've tried a few things in the past with my teams that probably would work. So I had a few solutions and they were ready and in the bank before I even heard the first sentence complete. But I stopped myself and I listened. And after several minutes, he said, I don't think I even need an answer. I think I have my answer. I just needed to vocalize and bounce this off of somebody. I needed to speak this and have someone hear me so I could work it out. And that moment, oh my goodness, it reminded me, man, I'm the same way too sometimes. And people don't always need a solution to a problem. They don't always need a solution or a resolution to something that they're discussing with you. You don't have to be the star of every conversation. Sometimes they need space, and sometimes they just, as in the case with this individual, they just needed to vocalize it. And intentional listening provides that space. And you notice, I didn't say one of my employees or my leader or my family. I said my peer, a co-manager. We do this for each other. It's called accountability, and it's awesome. So how do we listen intentionally? Of course, we have 3 ways. Number 1, you're going to guess this. Be present. Put down your phone, make eye contact, and be there mentally and emotionally. Number 2, listen and learn, not win. You do not have to fix or correct anything. Just listen and understand. And number 3, reflect back on what you heard. Try saying something like, what I hear you saying is, because that ensures understanding and shows the value you place in that understanding, which shows how much you care. And according to John Maxwell, according to him, but I agree wholeheartedly, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So, listening is not silence, it's engagement. And who do you need to truly listen to today? Maybe it's a team member, a friend, or even your spouse. Ask one question a day and then listen without interrupting. Let the silence do the work. Intentional listening is not a skill, it's a discipline, it's a habit. And it builds bridges where words alone cannot. It fosters trust, deepens understanding, and strengthens every relationship that you touch. You've been listening to 1 Minute Wins with Dr. Dana Martin. For more leadership insights, visit dmilm.com and check out my book, 1 Minute Wins. Take control of your growth journey 1 minute at a time on Amazon. And always remember, be the example.